All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our special St. Patrick's Day edition. This is episode number 3 of our Branch Report, a podcast discussion designed to keep you informed on all things Flowery Branch athletics. I'm your host, Ethan Banks, and we're podcasting once again from the beautiful dining room of the Stonebridge Village CFA, right here in Flowery Branch. We especially want to extend, as always, our heartfelt thank you to both Frank and Tyler Harney. They're part of the Chick-fil-A family, and they have been keeping our Falcons fed and fueled for over 23 years. Stonebridge Village, Chick-fil-A. Our special guests today lead the baseball and lacrosse programs at Flowery Branch High School. Falcons baseball head coach Dusty Black and lacrosse head coach Alex Davis. I'm joined by my co-host and Flowery Branch High School athletic director, Mr. Jimmy Lawler. All right, Jimmy, get us started.
Thank you very much, Ethan. So we've got Coach Black, the baseball coach, and Coach Davis, the lacrosse coach. So we're going to start with some questions for Coach Davis, because if you don't know Flowery Branch community, this is the first year that Flowery Branch has had a GHSA lacrosse team. Coach Davis, your first year teaching, first year at Flowery Branch. Tell us about the props and tell us a little bit about the lacrosse program that we've started this year.
A couple years past, we've had only a club teams where we played JV teams or some local teams that we can try to pull together. But this year, we came out. We've got got a lot of sponsors, got a lot of kids fed with family meals. Chick-fil-A here, they actually gave us a stipend for some food as well. Like, it's been a great time. We've came out pretty hot. Had some few tough losses, a few games we probably could have came out on top on, but first year was looking great. Had a lot of opportunities to succeed, and we've been taking those.
So with the first year as a GHSA program, like you said, 2 years prior to this one, we had a club team. And so part of your responsibilities as being a head coach this year is to recruit players. So of the 22 players on your team, how many of them, this is the first time they've picked up a stick?
I'd say about half of them, at least half or more. This is their first time picking a stick up.
So first time, so some of these guys here, first time we've picked up a lacrosse stick, yet you guys have started out pretty hot. Mm-hmm. So tell me, coming into the season, a lot of people didn't know in this community about lacrosse. So kind of give us a brief description of the game. How many people on the field? What kind of sports is it similar to, etc.?
Well, the biggest thing, it's really big up north. So the easiest way to compare it to is about hockey and football. Very physical, but you still got to have a little bit of skill involved. The amount of people on the field is 10. So a lot of sports is about 11 around that ballpark, but it's only 10 on the field of this. So you've got our goalkeeper. You've got 3 guys always playing defense, 3 guys always playing offense. Then you got 3 more guys at the midfield area that are just running around. Those guys got to be in great shape to go up and down the field all day.
So tell me, these props here, tell me the difference in our sticks here.
Well, here we've got one of our player sticks. He scored a record-setting 12 points this week with this stick. It was great to see. I'm very happy to see that progress. But his specifically is an offensive stick, or just typically a short stick. They standard. I mean, they're the most made, most produced, but they're also some of the best scorers, best players usually use these. The other one we got is a goalie stick. Goalies are probably the crux of the defense. They're about the most important position. They help lead the defense, and they're the last line of defense before the other team scores a goal. This one here is it's a little bit older. I mean, it's got a few more dings and a few more wear and tear spots on it, but our goalie back there, he's been doing a great job this year. He's also his first year playing lacrosse, and he's been outstanding. So
for those of you that are watching this and don't know about this goalie lacrosse stick, it's kind of like when you were a kid and you were trying to catch butterflies with that net, except this is a lot heavier. But so definitely a difference in the stick. So thank you for that description, Coach Davis. Coach Black, I don't want to leave you out, so we're going to bring you into the conversation here. So this is your second season as the head coach at Flowery Branch High School, leading the baseball team. So let's talk about the expectations coming in, and looking at your schedule, you started the season with a pretty tough schedule. Tell me the reasoning behind that.
Well, we always try to play tough teams. One, it helps us prepare for the playoffs, and 2, we get to see how players react in certain situations against good opponents. And really the biggest thing is helping us prepare for the playoffs, because we're going to play these good teams when we get deeper in the playoffs. And you learn which players you can trust in certain situations, and which players may need a little extra work. But it's always good to get out there and play these top-ranked opponents nationally, in the state, whatever it may be. So playing teams like Blessed Trinity, teams like Peach County, teams like McEachern, they're all great teams, and we've learned a lot about ourselves just being able to play good opponents. So
playing good opponents on the road certainly helps you get prepared for tough situations away from your home field. So one thing with the baseball program that we really need to highlight tonight is this is your first full year having the indoor facility, and the locker room is now complete. So tell us, because all these baseball players in here and the people in the community helped fund and build that baseball facility. Tell us a little bit about how it's helping your team and the benefits to the players with both the hitting part of it and the locker room.
Well, what people don't realize is it's been in the process for like 10 years. Since I've been here, we've been talking about it, and we finally got it finished last October. It's been a blessing to be able to go somewhere when it's not raining, or when it is raining, and be able to hit, or say the JV's playing like today, we're able to get inside and hit, even when they're on the field, and take ground balls, whatever it may be. But what most people don't realize is the work and effort that has been put into that indoor facility to make sure that it gets up has been tremendous. Like we've had so many people throughout the community, people in the program who have helped build that facility, and it's one of the best in the county, if not the state. And the kids, I think it's been very beneficial to our team chemistry this year, especially with the ping pong tables and the late night ping pong games, even after baseball games, and even if somebody wants to get in and hit after a game, or they need to get extra swings during practice, or we need to throw bullpens, whatever it may be, we're able to use that facility and continue to grow as a team and as players.
So both these sports, lacrosse and baseball, are very dynamic sports. You talked about the physicality, you talked about the toughness, the mental toughness, what it takes to develop that grit to compete on the field and on the diamond for both of you. What do you do to prepare? Because both these sports start when it's cold outside. There may be snow on the ground, literally, and then by the time the season's over, you're in short sleeves and burning up. And so what do you do to prepare your students, both physically and mentally, for the toughness of the seasons that both lacrosse and baseball experience?
Well, we start early in October, and I tell our guys we throw bullpens outside, we hit outside when we can, but we work outside, because when it gets to that point, we got to be ready for those elements. We got to be ready for the weather, whatever it may be, and you got to get used to throwing or playing or fielding ground balls or hitting all that stuff on. So we always try to go outside when we can, when it's pretty, and we got very lucky this year that it's been 70 degrees for most of the time. We had a spell, I think we went to Lake Point, it was like 40 degrees, it was miserable. But we've been very lucky this year, because most years it's freezing and windy, and it's not fun. But we prepare in the off season, we prepare in the fall to get ready for those games, those long nights in the cold weather.
To prepare physically, we'll do some stuff off season as well. We'll do some 4-on-1s as most we can. We'll do Saturday morning conditioning. That's a great way to get the boys out there. Get them up early, get them out there, seeing how they're coming along, seeing how they get older, just see if they get any faster, stuff like that. But my favorite thing to do is, if it's raining some days, or if it's like, as long as it's safe, we'll go out in the rain and we'll just get muddy. Like we had that day last week. It was pretty damp outside, pretty wet outside. I got out there and I tell them, they know how much I love when it rains. So we'll go out there and I let them know, like, we're one of the only teams around that gets to play on it, practice on a grass field. And I'm like, it's great. It's a fun time out there.
Yeah. So now, do you play 4 quarters for lacrosse? 15 minutes?
12 minutes.
12-minute quarters. So that's a grueling game. I mean, you're talking about, it's soccer with pads on, and you're hitting people with sticks. Tell me a little bit about the checking, because some checking is allowed, right? And I'm sure the players like it.
We have another first-year player he's been outstanding athletically. It took him a little bit to get used to it, but he got out there and he's like, I can get the hang of this. Well, one game he kind of got carried away, and some of the checks he threw were illegal ones. So if you hit someone in the head, or kind of basically outside of the gloves to like the elbows, kind of outside that area, that's usually illegal. Well, he learned it the hard way by hitting someone in the same play in the back, the helmet, and the legs. So that was when you do that, at some point the play is going to have to stop.
Yeah.
So when that happens, if a flag is thrown, instead of like a 15-yard penalty or something of that sort, he actually is off the field for the allotted time. So I think at that one, he was off the field for, I think, 2 minutes, which is, that's substantial.
Okay.
That's substantial.
I've got to ask then, so when you say off the field, so it's almost like hockey where you have a penalty box?
Yes.
So you're playing one less while he's out? Ah.
So you've got a goalie with a crease, right? Kind of like soccer. You've got that area that's kind of restricted just for the goalie. Offensive players, I guess, can't get in that crease.
They're not allowed to step in at all.
So who's orchestrating like your plays in a game of lacrosse? Do you have a midfielder who's doing that, an attacker who really calls your plays, or is the goalie kind of that guy that's your catcher behind the plate?
Well, a lot of the teams we're playing, they've only got 1 or 2 offensive sets that they'll really run. So I've got to set up in either kind of like a more open set where the offense is a bit more spread out, or a set where there's an offensive guy actually in front of the crease.
Yeah.
So the only problem with those offenses is if he gets too close to the goalie, for us, that's dangerous. Anyone can score 2 yards away from a goalie, but just depends on what's going on. For the most part, the goalie, if he recognizes something, I think I can trust him to make a good call and tell him what to do. But it's pretty back and forth. It just depends what's going on for the most part.
Coach Black, I'm going to go back to you. We're going to talk a little bit more baseball, mix it up a little bit. So coming into the season, you've got 9 seniors. So these guys have been playing together for quite a while. And the expectation for the last few years is once they get to their senior year, you've got something special. So through the first 12, 13 games of the season, what do you feel like your strengths are offensively, defensively? Are we strong offensively? Are we better defensively? Are we throwing the ball well? Tell me what you think our strengths are right now.
Our biggest strength right now is hitting, surprisingly, because since I've been here for the past 10 years, one of our biggest weaknesses throughout the entire season has been hitting. We've come out firing on all cylinders when it comes at the box. We're just putting up runs. The biggest thing we need to work on right now is finding those strikeouts, finding those outs in the field. But we've been crushing the baseball when it comes to on the field. And I give credit to Coach Boswell. He's our hitting coach, and he's been doing a tremendous job in the cages with all the teams. But the hitting has been the strongest part of our game. And that's 1 through 9. Like everybody's contributing at some point.
So I have to ask this because we talked about a few moments ago about the indoor hitting facility and how we really had that for a full season now. So can we directly attribute the increase in offensive production to having the hitting facility and the kids can get in there anytime they want to?
To me, yes, because in the past we've had to go on top of the gym and kind of use 2 cages, and when they're available. Now it's, hey, I got the keys. Whenever y'all want to hit, let me know. And then, like I told them, if anybody wants to get better, I'm never going to tell anybody no. So the cages is open whenever I'm available. So being able to go up there and unlock it, and being able to have kids go in there and hit, whether it's off the tee, or front toss, off the machines, whatever it may be, we've been able to get hours and hours and hours of work in that we haven't been able to get in the past, which has been crucial in our success, I believe.
Okay. So region play has started. You had your first region series. So the region baseball schedule is Tuesday night single game, Friday night doubleheaders. So you had your first region series last week. You win 2 out of 3. I think if you ask any of these baseball players playing a good team like East Forsyth, winning 2 out of 3, we'd take that. So how do you see us falling into as the rest of the region season progresses here?
Well, that was a huge region win to go up 2-1 on East Forsyth, because they're a good team. They were projected to be top 4 in the region, if not top 2. But we came out and we took 2 from them, which is great. The biggest opponent I'm worried about, or not worried about, but my focus is on is North Oconee. They're always good. They're always in one of those top teams who have pitching and hitting, and they play in a bandbox. So anything that gets in the air is probably gone.
Let's tell everybody listening what a bandbox is. It's a baseball term.
A bandbox is basically a small field that if anything gets in the air, it's gone. And there really ain't much you can do about it. If the wind's blowing 20 miles an hour, there's no hope. Like it's basically they moved the fence in so they could get a little bit more home runs.
Build the stats.
Which it's good for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have some great region opponents. East Side's good. East Forsyth was good. North Oconee, Walnut Grove. I mean, they're all tough opponents. And if we don't show up, then we'll get embarrassed. But the goal is to win every game in 5 innings. I mean, that's what we're trying to do every time we go on the field. So,
Okay. So let's go back to you, Coach Davis. So one thing with you and your group here, there's only 2 schools in Hall County that have lacrosse. Us and another school about 3.5 miles down the road. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about having to go on the road to play all your games, because the fields in Hall County were not marked for lacrosse. So unfortunately, you're having to travel every game. So tell me, how you're preparing your guys for every game being on the road.
Road games, I mean, I think they're pretty accustomed to it. They know that when we get on the road, it's you can have a little bit of fun on the bus, but eventually you got to settle in and get ready to go. Playing away, there's been some weird parts to it, learning like kind of what other fields are like, how some of the turf is, and having to adjust to it. But the biggest difficulty has been on our grass field. We don't got the lines on there yet, so having to kind of go out there and still teach the guys, hey, this is where the box is at, this is where the inline's at, this is where the midline's at. Like, everyone knows the midline's at 50 yards at the 50-yard line, but in lacrosse, the field is about 110 yards long. So sometimes the line goes halfway, sometimes the end of the field is halfway to the end zone, sometimes it's a little farther. Some fields, I mean, the field should be 110 yards, but just depending on how the logos and stuff look, every field looks a little different for us. That's the biggest challenge we go traveling right now.
Okay.
I was going to switch gears for just a second and talk about assistant coaches. Now, you may be flying solo as a first-year GHSA coach, taking the program all by yourself. But as far as assistant coaches, we mentioned Coach Boswell, but so much of baseball is positional. You've got middle infielder, you got the corners, you've got pitching, you've got hitting, you've got outfield. What do you look for in assistant coaches? Personalities to complement your own, obviously skill sets that will bring the most to the team. What are you looking for in coaches?
well, the biggest thing is I'm looking if coaches can hit fungo, can throw BP, can drag, can paint lines, that stuff. Stuff that people don't realize extra goes into coaching. Taking out the trash, whatever it may be. And then the coaching part of it is somebody that's committed to the program, somebody that's going to be there for the guys, somebody that's going to willing to, drop what they're doing and go help somebody. Really it's just the commitment aspect. How committed are you to us, one, getting good, and two, coaching the kids to their max potential, which is what I always look for with coaches. And it's like Coach Lawler said, this is my second year, so I'm still trying to figure out, what works and what doesn't work as far as myself, but also with assistant coaches. So being able to kind of learn and grow from those choices helps in the future. And I think we have a very good coaching staff at the moment right now. But really the biggest thing is the commitment to the program and making sure all the guys are getting their work in and we're not off doing something else.
Yeah. So I'm going to follow up with a question here, Coach Black. Since you were assistant here for 10 years before you became the head coach?
This is my 10th year.
10th year, okay. So what was the biggest difference for you being an assistant coach to being the head coach? Give me the biggest difference for you.
Well, the biggest difference was we had to finish the indoor. So that was tough in itself, is getting all that stuff together and finishing it. And just so much stuff that goes into being a head coach that you don't realize goes into it. Like dealing with money, coming up with practices, sending emails, making sure the umpires are at games, making sure the other team knows that they're playing today, whether it's JV, C team, or varsity. All the field labor that people don't see from October to January, just edging the entire field and dragging it and make sure the dirt's good and the grass is good. And that there's so many things that go into it. And I tell everybody, I said, I'm not just a coach, I'm a janitor and I'm a construction worker, I'm a landscaper, I'm all kinds of things boxed into one. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays, I get to be a baseball coach, and then the rest of the week we get to practice. But it's really all the little things that people don't see that go into coaching, and especially being a head coach, that's can be tough at times, because I spend more time at the baseball field than I do at the house, which is unfortunate. But I'm lucky to have my wife, whose dad has been a head coach for 40-something years, so she understands the time it takes to be a head coach. So I've been lucky with that aspect of it too.
All right. Coach Davis, I want to ask you a similar question. So this is your first year as a lacrosse head coach.
Mm-hmm.
What have you looked for with your guys? What qualities are you looking for in leaders?
For my leaders, being the only coach right now, I'm looking for some people who can help lead a little bit during practice. Have to split up the offense and defense sometimes. Got to let them know, understand positional work, understand that there's some other things that, I can't be down there saying, all right, guys, I can't take any breaks. So I'm looking for some older guys who, or maybe even younger guys who just understand that, okay, I know coach ain't here, but what am I doing when nobody's looking? So some call that character. I'm just looking for some people some of the young men who can really help push the others and keep themselves accountable.
I was going to say, you've kind of got the perfect storm going on because not only are you a solo head coach of a new program for the school, but you're a first-year teacher as well. Tell us a little bit about those challenges and what you've experienced both in the classroom, because you're a math teacher.
Yeah.
You're not a slouch there.
Yeah.
So you're a math teacher, you're a head coach, you're a first-year head coach, and you're kind of working this perfect storm.
We threw a lot of things at him.
I was going to say, talk about grit.
Yeah, it's been fun. I'm a lot better when there's a little bit of pressure, a little bit of something to do. I don't like laying around and doing nothing, so getting thrown out of the pan into the fire, it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, kind of drawing everything together. A lot of learning curves. I've coached for a while, and I know how a lot of stuff works from the outside.
Yeah.
But being in the driver's seat, it's a little bit more every now and then. But it's fun to come together and fun to figure it out.
There's a question I always like to ask our coaches, and I'm going to ask both of you, and whoever wants to take it first. How would your players describe you as a man, as a coach, as a teacher, as that leader that they see out there on the field? How would your players describe you?
I have no idea. I try to be organized and I try to be cool-headed, level-headed. Being on the sidelines, I've seen some coaches this year who aren't those things. Some of the stuff that I've really tried to be. I've seen the other coaches, like I said, kind of be a little bit more yelling at the refs when the game's still going on, or kind of not knowing some of the rules, just some stuff like that. And I try to be organized and level-headed for the most part.
Have you seen a lot of parent support at your games? Because obviously, when you're on the road, that's a tough challenge right there to get parents to get in the car and drive too.
I tried to schedule all the games close as I could. There's some region games over in Oconee County. I've got to play North Oconee and Oconee County. I got to play both of them. So I'm not going to be like, parents, come out to the game. That's a bit of a drive. But I think outside of those two, our farthest games are half an hour away. So I've been really happy to see parents.
Yeah, it was a big win in Duluth for you to start the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice to see.
That's a good one. It's nice to beat those teams.
Coach Black, same question to you. How would your players, your seniors sitting in this room and those juniors, describe your leadership style?
I think it's more level-headed. Like, I don't try to get up, I don't try to get down. It's more of, we got a job to do and we're here to do it. There are times where I get heated. There are times where I need to make my voice heard. But most of the time I'm very level-headed because baseball is a game of ups and downs. So if you get too up, then you're right back down to where you were. And so playing level-headed and trying to instill that feeling in the dugout of everything's okay, level-headed type deal, I think that helps a lot. And I think that's how they would describe me as being, I'm quiet, but when I need to, like I said, I need to make my voice heard, it's heard. And there are times when I'll go out in the locker room and play ping pong with some guys and get schooled on ping pong. I think I'm 0-15 so far this year, and it hasn't been close except for when people make up rules. I try to go in there and hang out with the guys and watch baseball and play ping pong, and every now and then I'll get in the cage and embarrass myself. And so I think there's a sense of the level-headedness, but also it's a game. Like, we're here to have fun. So
all right, I've got to ask this question because there'll be a lot of guys in here who think they are. But who's the best ping pong player on the baseball team?
Well, we're going off based off. I'm going off based off who plays the most, and based off who plays the most is probably Tyler Folkers.
Wait, okay.
I'm not saying he's the best.
So I'm imagining there'll be a challenge going forward now every day. So
I feel a March Madness bracket coming on right here.
That's fine. Like we've ruined more ping pong balls in the past 2 months than I can count. We only have like half a paddle because they keep getting broken. But if I had to say one player that plays ping pong quite a bit, and he's beaten me like 8 times in a row, he's also the one that makes up rules. So if I had to guess, it'd probably be Tyler, and Javi may be a close second. But I think Tyler likes to cheat, so he has some shots that you can't reach to, and he's like, yeah, that's good.
Well, when we asked that question, there were about 6 guys who raised their hands who feel like they're the best. So if you've never seen the indoor hitting facility, there's also a locker room in there, which is more than a locker room. It's actually a clubhouse with a ping pong table and couches, TV, and is there still a PlayStation game in there or Xbox?
There is. It's just not hooked up right now, but there is.
All right. Guys, we've got a couple minutes left. Anything you'd like to tell the group today before we have to go?
It's been a great season, coming out pretty strong, had some lows, but we got a good game against Jackson County on March 27th, so anyone who's interested and wants to show up, support us, that would be a good game for us to compete and probably hopefully win.
So come support lacrosse program. Coach Black?
First off, thank you all for having us out today. I appreciate the exposure for the baseball and lacrosse programs. We got games tomorrow at Madison County, 5:55. And then we play a doubleheader on Friday against Madison County at home, starting at 5 o'clock. So from here on out to spring break, it's Tuesday, double Fridays. And then spring break will go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then get back into region play the next week. And then playoffs start. So
it's
quick.
It's already halfway through the season.
Yeah.
All right, well, good luck to you guys the rest of the season. We appreciate you coming in. We appreciate the turnout of the baseball and lacrosse programs here. And once again, we appreciate Chick-fil-A and Frank and Tyler Harney for allowing us to invade their space tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, that's a wrap for episode number 3 of the Branch Report. We appreciate all the contributions that we get from Frank and Tyler Harney. Great partners for us, feeding the Falcons, fueling the Falcons for 23 years. Our producer, Wesley Walton, our director, Christy Carter, co-host, athletic director, Jimmy Lawler. For all of us here at the Branch Report, thank you again for tuning in. We hope you have a great evening, and as always, go Falcons.